In the midst of my travels across the backroads of America, I've had my fair share of peculiar experiences, but none were as eerie and unsettling as the time I picked up a hitchhiker who seemed to know me a little too well. It was late in the evening, the kind of night where the sky is thick with stars and the highway seems to stretch on forever. I was cruising along in my old pickup, the windows down, enjoying the rare moment of quiet that comes after sunset, when I saw her standing by the roadside. Come out, waiting for a lift. She was a young woman, maybe in her early 20s, with long flowing hair and a backpack slung over her shoulder. Her figure was lean, suggesting a life not lived on soft cushions. And her face, though partially obscured by the shadows cast by her hood, had an undeniable charm to it, the kind of face you wouldn't soon forget if you tried. I slowed down, rolled the window up, and motioned for her to get in. As she slid into the seat, I couldn't help but steal another glance at her. There was something about her, a familiarity that tugged at the edges of my memory, but I couldn't place it. Maybe it was the way she held herself, the hint of a smile playing on her lips, or the fact that she seemed to fit into my truck as if she'd always been there. Whatever it was, it unsettled me a bit, but I shrugged it off. Hitchhikers are hitchhikers, and I had miles to cover before I could rest my head. So I turned up the radio, and we fell into a comfortable silence. We must have driven for a good hour, the highway unfurling before us like a black ribbon, when she finally spoke. Her voice was soft, lilting, even with a hint of something I couldn't quite place. Like distant laughter or a half-forgotten dream. "Thank you for giving me a ride," she said, turning to me with a smile. "I haven't seen many cars out this late." "No problem," I replied, keeping my eyes on the road. "Where are you headed?" "Just past the next exit," she said, her gaze fixed on the passing scenery. "There's a motel I'd like to stay at. It's an old one. Do you know it?" "Yeah," I managed, surprised at the tightness of my voice. "Yeah, I know it. I knew it." Why did that sound so wrong? I wasn't sure if it was the strangeness of the situation, the late hour, or the sudden feeling that I was being watched, but I found myself agreeing to take her all the way to the motel, even though it was out of my way. The highway became a tunnel of darkness, the trees on either side pressing close, forming a leafy canopy overhead. The silence returned, broken only by the hum of the engine and the chirping of crickets. I felt like we were in a scene from one of those old horror movies, the kind where the killer always seems to be lurking just off screen. Then it happened. Up ahead, I saw the exit we were looking for, but instead of slowing down, my foot pressed harder on the gas pedal. Adrenaline surged through me, my heart pounding in my chest. This wasn't right. I shouldn't be driving like a madman, and yet here I was, my foot glued to the accelerator as the highway curved and twisted like a roller coaster. In the rearview mirror, I caught sight of her. She was watching me, a strange smile on her face, her eyes gleaming in the darkness. I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching in protest as the truck skidded to a halt. My hands trembled as I reached for the gear stick, shifting into reverse. Slowly, cautiously, I began to back the truck up, my eyes never leaving hers. In the rearview mirror, her smile widened, her eyes sparkling with what seemed to be amusement. "What's wrong?" she asked softly, her voice laced with something that sounded suspiciously like laughter. "Are you lost?" My voice was a hoarse whisper. I don't want to take you to the motel anymore." Her eyebrows shot up in surprise. "But you said—" "I did," I interrupted, my foot pressing harder on the gas pedal. "But now, I'm not sure it's such a good idea." With a jerk, I turned the wheel, heading in the opposite direction. The motel exit was gone, replaced by a dark and unfamiliar stretch of road. My headlights cut through the gloom, revealing nothing but trees. Silent, watchful trees that seemed to close in on us from all sides. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I didn't want her to come with me. In the rearview mirror, I saw her change. The casual hitchhiker had vanished, replaced by something I didn't recognize. Her face was pale, her eyes wide and dark, devoid of their earlier cheer. She was no longer smiling. Her lips were pulled back in a snarl, revealing teeth that were just a little too sharp, a little too long. Panic seized me, cold and clammy fingers of fear that tightened around my heart. I wrestled with the steering wheel, trying to turn the truck around, but it was too late. From the corner of my eye, I saw her lunge for me, her nails, long and wickedly sharp, extended like the talons of some predatory bird. Her eyes, bottomless pits of darkness, stared directly at me. My blood ran cold as I realized I had made a terrible mistake. The last thing I remember is the smell of honeysuckle, cloying and sweet, enveloping me as she leaned in close, her lips brushing against my ear. Then everything went black. I woke up disoriented, lying on the ground beside the highway. The truck was gone, as was the hitchhiker. I sat up, my head throbbing, and looked around. The familiar landscape of the highway was a comforting sight. But it was the first light of dawn, and the world was slowly waking up. I was alone. I stumbled to my feet, brushing dirt off my clothes, and started walking. I didn't know where I was, but I knew I had to get away from that highway. The memory of the girl, the creature, came back in flashes. The way she smiled, the glint in her eyes, the smell of honeysuckle. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting its warm glow over the land, my terror slowly receded, leaving behind a bone-deep chill and a profound sense of unease. What had I encountered on that lonely stretch of highway? Was it a hitchhiker who knew me a little too well? Or something more sinister? Something that had stalked me through the darkness and sought to drag me into its own dark realm. I didn't know then, and I still don't know now, what lurks in the shadows on the back roads of America. All I know is that sometimes the scariest things you'll ever meet aren't what they seem. Now, after telling this story, I've gotten a lot of questions about what actually happened to me and if I really survived this encounter. I can tell you that the bruises on my arms and the scratches on my neck are very real. I think this experience was a traumatic one for me. And so I'm taking some time to recover, but if you believe me, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for listening.